Hi, this video is going to be some quick reminders about what it means to analyze along with a couple of examples that have to do with analysis. Remember that when we talk about analysis, we talk about it in relation to those levels of thinking. And when we think about our levels of thinking, there are multiple pieces. And so the first level are things like remember and understand. And so that's a really low level of thinking. I can point to a fact and know that is true because of something that this author has stated. There's another level of application. And when I apply something, I take what I know and I understand, and I'm trying to apply it or use it in a new setting. Analysis is along the same lines as evaluation. Again, as you move through those levels of thinking, this is one of the very deepest levels of thinking. Analysis is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to require a lot from you. And so when we talk about all these things that have to do with analysis, please understand that what I'm going to be requiring you is a very, very deep level of thinking. So to kind of start you off, I have three pieces here about what analysis involves. So the first piece is evaluation. So when I look at something and I'm picking it apart and I'm trying to see how the pieces relate to each other, I'm evaluating something. I'm deciding on the value of what I'm examining. And again, you'll hear me say this over and over and over. To evaluate something, you're going to give a reason or an opinion why an object has value or not, but it is supported by evidence. Everything that we do when it comes to analysis is going to have to be supported by evidence. It's going to need to be logical and well thought through. So an example can be that a book can be exciting or boring or worth reading or worthless, but if I'm going to assign a value like that, I'm going to have to support it with specific evidence. The second word that I want you to associate with analysis is interpretation. So what you're going to be doing when you analyze is you're going to communicate the meaning of something in a completely original way, which means that it is all you. And we've learned that when we communicate something in writing or in speaking, 60 to 70% should always be us. And it's going to be the same way with analysis. I'm going to support those things that I'm saying, my original interpretations, my personal views on something. I'm going to support it with what I can pull from whatever it is that I'm analyzing, specific evidence. Again, interpretation, it's a personal, well-supported response to the object being analyzed. It's how I see or how I can break apart what it is that I'm analyzing. And then the last word that I want you to associate with analysis is inference. So when we infer something, we reach beyond the face value and read between the lines. So again, we are not talking about something that I'm going to be able to directly point to. It is not something that I would say is similar to a fact or something that we just inherently understand. An inference requires me to pull together many, many different pieces in order to come up with an educated evaluation or an educated interpretation. It is an insightful statement. And when something is insightful, that means you're seeing it or you're putting it together in a way that not many people ever have before. You want to make sure it's your spin on it. And again, as I've said over and over and over, it's going to be based on evidence and sound reasoning. So when you're taking the first steps of true analysis, the first thing that you're going to do is look at what's on the surface. So we're going back to those lower levels of thinking. Remember and understand. Okay? What is the author communicating? At that level, what I'm trying to focus on are like skills like summary and paraphrase. Do I actually understand what is being directly communicated? Because if I don't understand, I'm never going to be able to make it to analysis. Then my second step is for me to look deeper. What we want to know is what is the author implying or what is not being directly stated. And again, if I want to make a claim that there is more than what is just on the surface, because let's be honest, not everything has many layers. Some things are exactly the way that they appear. But if I'm going to claim that there is more, I have to prove it. And I have to figure out, okay, what do I have to justify this? What keywords, phrases, images, symbols, what implies that there is something different going on here? And again, that second step, that's really where analysis comes. And you're going to go back and you're going to pull in the evaluation, the interpretation, and your inference at that level. So let me give you a quick example. You can see that the image on the right there is a mouse in the foreground, and that mouse is collected to a man that's holding a chainsaw, and that there are some paintbrushes, and that it appears like there are many heads of paintbrushes that have been cut down toward the left of the picture. So if I'm going to ask you to analyze a picture like this, I want you to discuss the implications regarding the colors in the picture, the tone or mood of the picture, the point of view of the picture, the connections the image invites, the theme of the picture, and then you really want to reach for what is the image actually saying. And again, I'm going to support that with evidence from the image. I want you to pause the video right now, and I want you to type your answer before you move on. Okay, so when you have typed this out, you may have discussed things like the fact that in this image there are very, very few bright colors, and really bright is kind of an unnecessary word, and it's only the orange of the man who is cutting down all these paintbrushes that stands out, and that's a similar color than is used in the mouse. I can assume that with the mouse being connected to the chainsaw, that it is technology that's driving whatever this is, because a mouse can be symbolic of technology. Well, I also know that things like the paintbrushes are symbolic of art or maybe even creativity. And so if I'm going to look at the colors, I would tell you that these drab, dull, what I would consider lifeless colors are trying to explain to me that the tone or the mood of this picture or this image is very somber. It's very serious. And the author of this picture or the artist of this picture wants me to feel lifeless. The point of view of this picture, the focus of this picture, is the mouse, because it's the biggest image in the foreground. And if you look at the next biggest image, it's of that hand that's holding the paintbrush. And so the point of view, you want to see that the mouse is connected with what is cutting down these hands that hold these paintbrushes. The connections that the image invites, obviously I've already talked about the fact that the mouse is like technology, and that the paintbrushes can be symbolic of art or creativity. And so the theme, or what this image is actually saying, if I were to analyze it after I've broken apart all these pieces, is that the use of technology or the overuse of technology is killing our creativity. If I wanted to go a step further, I might be able to talk about how our use of technology and things like that maybe have desensitized us, which brings in that lifeless element to the loss of that creativity. And so if I was going to support that with evidence from the image, again, I could cite the lifeless colors being used, the fact that the mouse is symbolic of technology because we know that that's connected to it, and the fact that paintbrushes are connected with artists, which are connected with creativity. And so that would be my analysis of this image. I have a video here for you, and to watch this video, I'm going to have you click on the presentation that is linked in our assignment. But what I want you to do is watch this video, and then I want you to discuss the implications regarding the characters, the setting here, the point of view here. What do you think the purpose of this was? And then again, that theme is kind of connected with what is this commercial actually saying? And I want you to support your answers with evidence from the commercial. We'll make sure to talk about these when we are in class later on this week. Thanks. Hopefully you understand what it means to analyze something. If not, please make sure to come and ask me questions.